Good, doing pretty good. I'm just sitting up here nursing my injury.
Tell me about your injury, because I didn't know about that until you just told me a little while ago.
I was at work the other day, Monday, and I work with juveniles at the detention center, and we're in the gym playing kickball. And I was the pitcher. I went to roll the ball, and a youth kicked it. I took one step toward the ball, and it felt like someone took a baseball bat and just cracked it on the back of the leg. And I've never felt that much pain before, so I ruptured my Achilles.
Oh my God! Wow! Like, did you end up getting surgery, or what? What do you got to do for that?
I went to the ER that night, and they took some ran some tests and everything, and told me it was a rupture. Went to the orthopedic specialist the other day, and because of this coronavirus thing, they're not real hip on surgery right this minute. But I have another appointment in 2 weeks to go in and find out if it's necessary or not. So I'm sitting up here with crutches for 4 weeks and in a walking boot for 12 weeks.
I had an MRI scheduled for this Saturday on my knee, and I canceled that, man. I can wait. So it got pushed back to June. I'm not going to go to a hospital and get sick. It can wait. And speaking of all that coronavirus stuff, COVID-19, which is the title of this. I threw COVID-19 live as the title of the video that's going on Facebook right now. So hopefully we get some people chiming in pretty soon.
Nice.
But cancellations. Let's talk about cancellations. I mean, everything. I mean, it all kind of started with the Arnolds, and now here we are. Arnold's Australia, a whole bunch of different tournaments getting canceled.
I think did WL get canceled also?
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, talking with I was talking with Michael Todd's wife, and she made a comment that the Prime Minister didn't it say you guys can't leave the country?
International travel is not. It's restricted. So there's certain. I didn't pay much attention because I'm not planning on leaving anyway. But Trump and Trudeau are in negotiations to close the border down completely, or have a strict limitations on it anyway. And it's probably not a bad idea right now to take care of all that stuff. I know that I think Ryan Bowen was talking about how Australia is doing a mandatory 14-day quarantine if you return to the country. I don't know if that means self-quarantine or if that means like they put you in a room and you're just there for 2 weeks.
Ouch.
But I know that I'm on city council in Portage, and I'm going to be tuning in kind of like how we are, except I'll be wearing a suit. At least from here up, I'll be wearing a suit and tuning into the meeting that way. Lots of stuff getting canceled. School is out. This is the last week of school for the kids until it's shut down for a minimum of 3 weeks starting this Friday. My kids are already out. If it's bad enough to shut it down on Friday, it's bad enough to shut it down right now, as far as I'm concerned. But how about your community? What's happening down there? Like, do you have numbers, or do you personally? Here's the one thing I haven't met anyone personally that has experience with being infected.
Personally, no, but I know I have a daughter in college in North Carolina, and they shut the campus down, so they're back home. So there's that.
Yeah.
Then my two younger sons, they're out of school this whole week, and then next week is our spring break. So basically, they get 2 weeks off, and then I guess they bumped it back to April 28th. So now I'm thinking, well, crap, does that mean you guys you're gonna like finish school in the summer now, or what? So it's kind of crazy right now. So
how many people, like, are you in Portland, or are you somewhere else? You're in Oregon, right?
Yeah, I'm in Bend, Oregon, Central Oregon.
Yeah, okay. So the community you're in, how many people are there?
81,000.
But in Oregon itself, there's probably what, in the millions, I would think.
Oh yeah, by far.
Yeah. See, I live in Manitoba, and if you're not familiar with the province, it's a fairly substantial, like it's bigger than Texas as far as landmass.
Right.
And there's only 1.3 million people in the whole place, and they're all kind of gathered in the south. But we have 17 cases confirmed and presumptive since this all kind of started, which was only a week and a half ago when the first one came in. So it's here, but we're all being pretty careful.
I think it's sad when you go to the store just to go grocery shopping and you go down the paper towel or the toilet tissue aisle and everything is just wiped clean, you know? And yeah, I guess it's survival of the fittest, but at the same time, it's like, you know, what about the other people? You know, you can't just take all the toilet. It's like, come on now, you know, who uses that much toilet tissue? No one does.
Well, I mean, if people are really thinking they're going to run out and that's the end of the world for them, then I don't know, man. Like, it's the same thing up here. The toilet paper aisle is empty. And I don't really know what the big deal is with toilet paper. I mean, there's alternatives to that if you really run out and you can't find anything. But I mean, it is what it is. People are going crazy.
All this craziness reminds me of December 31st, 1999, around 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's right. And I was working in a nightclub that night, and waiting for midnight to hit and everything to go shut down, but not realizing that most people didn't realize that it was already midnight in several places around the world before it got to us.
Well, and the weird thing about that Y2K thing is that they're saying people, you know, planes are going to fall out of the sky, and what got me is that people were building bomb shelters, collecting canned foods. I'm like, are we serious over here? It's like, come on, man. And I think with this coronavirus thing, it really hits you hard when you see people like NBA athletes get it, Chuck Norris and Tom Hanks, and when they have it now, and so I guess it does kind of hit home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we've seen all of the cancellations in the arm wrestling world, but did you happen to see the show, the CROSSFIRE show we did with Krasimir?
Bits and pieces. I didn't get a chance to finish the whole thing.
He talked about how this virus is affecting his home life in Bulgaria. And he said it's like you go outside and you just don't see anybody. Like everyone's in their homes. And that's it. That's life right now. But he's optimistic that he'll still be competing in June at the top 8.
Well, I made a comment, and it wasn't like an arm talk episode. I just made a comment a few days ago, and I was saying with all these tournaments being canceled, you know, why just stay within your own state or, you know, province and say, hey, let's get together, you know, with these teams, you know, across the state or whatnot, and just do that just to keep your, you know, your skills sharp, because obviously with these events being canceled and it's going to be hard to get to an event. But like for me, state of Oregon, call up some of the guys in Southern Oregon and the Valley and Northern Oregon and say, hey, let's get together for a practice. That way we can still get our fix, but at the same time be safe as possible.
Yeah, I was debating on whether or not practice should be canceled up here, and there needs to be some kind of balance. But I mean, if there's ever a case of it, most of my guys travel from the east of the province or the west of the province rather, where there's not any cases yet. So right. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's everything could change tomorrow and there could be 10 cases locally, but we canceled the youth provincial championships and we canceled the fundraising event. And the national championships are happening here in July, and there's some talk about whether or not we're going to cancel that. And they're already talking about the Olympic Games in Japan being canceled. So hopefully the world recovers quickly.
If they cancel it sucks for, like, you know, let's just say we're athletes, right? And, you know, I was real miffed about it when the Arnold got canceled, because I'm like, I trained a whole year just for that. And they kind of altered the weight classes, which kind of benefited me with the 242 class. And to hear about the cancellation the day before weigh-ins was really, like, I was on my way out the door. Like, and then I woke up that morning, I was ready to go. Yeah, they canceled it. I'm like, what? I'm like, so you got a lot of people had to call the hotel. Hey, can I get my refund back? Oh, yeah. Sorry about this thing. Depending on what kind of airline you went to. I went through Southwest. Now I had to pay $125 to cancel my ticket. Whereas if you went to American Airlines, you know, there's some friends of mine in California. They were stiffed. Like, they were asked out at $500, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. And, well, yeah, that does suck. What do you think of these events that have been like UFC and WWE wrestling And they were even talking about doing it with the NBA, playing and competing and putting on the show in empty arenas.
It's, as far as the NBA goes, it's like a pickup game, and it's some of these sports like, arm wrestling or WWE, and a lot of these sports, they feed off the crowd. When there's no crowd there, you don't have that. You're not motivated. Let's be honest, you're not motivated because WWE is scripted, right? But you tell a story in the ring. You tell a story.
And you feed off the reaction of the crowd, yeah.
Right. So if the crowd boos you or cheers you, you've done your job. When there's no one there, it's like, all right, are you 100% into it? If you're an arm wrestler, let's just say, they had the second IFA qualifier in Alabama this past weekend, and they still had over 200 entries. But if they did that in front of nobody, is it the same thing? I mean, we took it as just like a practice. You still got to perform, but it's not the same. And I get it,
I had an experience like that when Neil did the gathering in Las Vegas. We're in that one terrace suite of the MGM Grand.
Right.
And there was nobody there as a spectator. It was you, your opponent, the camera crew, and the few arm wrestlers that were there to compete. And it was a little unsettling. Like you did your walkout and did your thing, but I could see that in WAL they might be able to pull something like that off. The problem is 6 out of 10 athletes on 601 are not American.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? I don't know. It's I made the suggestion that they could replace them with other either North American, but it looks like it's not even going to be North American. It's going to be American. And
right.
You got to find 6 guys from the States that are willing to go to Los Angeles or that already live in Los Angeles to kind of patch together the card if the card's still going to happen.
Well, I have tomorrow on my show, I have Marlon Kleinsmith out of Sweden, and they can't leave their country. So, I'll be talking to her tomorrow, and it'll be interesting to see, get her take on it, because I was looking forward to that match she was going to have. That was like probably one of the main, aside from Devin and Michael, that was probably going to be the marquee match, and it was like, now you can't have it. So I'm kind of disappointed in that, but, we'll see what Wall pulls out of the rabbit's hat.
The only match we'll get to see is Wilmot versus Jamie Sheldon.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
that's it.
And let me get your take on this. So I was talking about that Eddie Hall versus RVJ, and I was talking with a buddy of mine, and he's been, doing what he has to do, kicking butt, on the biggest stages and stuff. And he doesn't get a call, and he felt kind of stiff when all of a sudden you got these athletes like Jimmy Mufu, and all of a sudden now you got Eddie Hall leapfrogging everybody. And it's like, what do I have to do to be on this wall card? I've been doing everything I need to do. And, you have to look at it this way. If you know what you're getting with WAL, you should be fine. But if you're trying to, this ain't the WAL of 2014 and 15 where everybody can compete. They have their guys and their ladies to pull. So I always thought that those undercard ones, the ones they never show on TV, but they're kind of like, I call, you like wrestling, right? If I say dark matches, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, so we have those Bill Runkle versus Dave Morocco or the Corey West and Paul Passmore matches. They happen, but they never actually saw on TV. I thought that was a gateway to be on WAL, and yet not one person on those undercard matches saw any kind of live, WAL matches. So when you pull these other guys from a different country, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's like you got to know what you're getting yourself into,
Well, I think that people need to be patient. And when I say they need to be patient, I think they need to look at the benefit that this brings to the WAL and the opportunities it could create down the road. So
right.
the more eyes on our sport, a better thing. I understand what it's like to feel like I'm personally, I could take that as I get stiffed because they want to put on a show like an exhibition match. It's a left-handed match, which RVJ possibly, maybe isn't known for. It's against a guy that doesn't know how to arm wrestle right now. Maybe by then he would.
Right.
I guess the celebrity and the status that Eddie Hall brings to the sport, because if you look at strongman up 15 years, they're kind of where we are right now. Like there's money involved, but it's not a lot of money. You're not winning hundreds of thousands of dollars for winning arm wrestling. And back then you weren't doing it for strongman. But Eddie Hall is one of these guys that set world records in deadlift, and he's won the world's strongest man competition. And he's bringing a fan base in here that will benefit everyone eventually. And I think people need to look at it that way. Do I agree that they should pass over, say, Eddie Hall for, I'll just pull a name out of an accomplished arm wrestler that maybe is not one of the fan favorite guys because he's not very outspoken.
Right.
Take like an Eric Wolfell. He's an incredible arm wrestler.
Right.
He's going to do damage in the ranks in WAL, but you never hear from the guy. He's never behind a microphone. He doesn't draw eyes to the sport other than the hardcore fans.
Right.
So there needs to be some kind of balance in there. But you should have 5 regular WAL matches. If I were controlling the world, the usual 5 on pure arm wrestling, no bullshit matches, and then possibly the special feature match that gets mixed in kind of right before the main event during the break, just strictly for entertainment purposes. And I do like those Facebook prelims, but you can't put a guy like Eddie Hall on a Facebook prelim because he's going to draw numbers to that pay-per-view. So you have to have him on that pay-per-view somehow without stiffing the other guys. Would it kill them to put 1 extra match on there? Probably not. I'd watch 6 matches versus 5.
Well, this RBJ Eddie Hall or the Jimmy Mufu, Michaela from last year, it reminds me of the Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, where you got 2 polarizing athletes in their own respective sports clashing, So yeah, from an arm wrestling standpoint, we're all gonna, cheer for Michaela. We're all gonna cheer for RBJ, but because their opponents bring so much viewers because they got their own YouTube channels, they're gonna bring so many viewers. It's nothing but a thumbs up for us. So for the puller I'm talking about, I'm not gonna mention his name, but I told him, I was like, if you're just like he's a guy that comes in, clocks in, gets the job done, clocks out. If that's your ammo, then wall's not for you. I told him, I said, you should probably look at doing something like a Zloty because it's a different atmosphere, different kind of pullers where, wall, we know what wall is. We know what it is. Once you know what it is, then you can accept that. But if you're a hardcore puller, just a lunchbox guy, like I'm a lunchbox guy, Zloty, I told that guy, hey, Zloty's for you because now you can go over there and really test yourself against international pullers and see where you stand. Or you can just do the IFA in September. But I wouldn't worry about wall right now because if you're not the hand-selected few, then you probably won't get a call. Now, in saying that, though, I do like fresh faces because you can only see the Michael Todds versus Devin Lorette versus Jerry Catteras so many times before you get exhausted,
That's right. And I'm kind of hoping that this is decisive, unlike the match between Jerry and Michael, where there needs to be a trilogy match just to settle that.
Right.
I hope the one between Devin and Michael is decisive enough that we can move on from it for a little while at least. And I guess back to the person you're talking to that wants to get on the WAL card, I guess the question for them is why? Why do they want to be a part of the WAL? Is it the notoriety? Is it the opportunity to make some money while you're arm wrestling? What is the goal?
Well, for him, he told me it's the, basically the notoriety. Like, I've done good at these big tournaments, the Arnold and Nationals, that he wants to get recognized. Not like I said, I totally get it. But at the same time, it's like go to here's an example. If you're an American puller, I think now Zloty's a hotbed because when you go there and you see, hi Robin Chandler, when you go there and you see a Herman Stevens get like top 3, what was it, 2 years ago at Zloty? Yeah. And then you go see Daniel Moser get second. And so it kind of opens the floodgates because normally Americans go there, we're getting like 7th or 8th in recent years. Not back in the, John Brzezinski where he was the one crushing and he had Beijing and Tim Breslin. We're talking about as of the last couple of years. It's good to see an American go there and get top 3 to wind up on the podium. So it opens the floodgates going, guys, we can do this. If we put in the hard work, we can get this done. That's what you need to do, not so much worry about, Wall and all the glitz and glamour and all that kind of stuff. And man, if you're a hardcore puller, is it for you? Because look at Todd Hutchins, Devin Larrett, Michael Todd, those guys, they've been to WAF Worlds, been there, done that, right?
Well, not all of them. Not all of them. It's kind of interesting because not all of them actually have made it over there and won WAF titles or whatever. I mean, some of them have gone to the tournaments and pulled, but I mean, there are different paths the guys can take for notoriety.
Right.
And I still think winning a world title, even though we're divided right now, can bring you more notoriety for a long term than necessarily winning the Hammer right now. The Hammer seems to be a 6-man tournament throughout the year, basically. Pretty
much. They got the 6, but now throughout the seasons, where do you place who where? That's what it comes down to, Yeah. As far as what, like, for example, I think Dave Chafee was a better fit in the top 8 than he ever was at Wall. He's not a Wall guy. I mean, when Wall was on ESPN, when you pulled it regularly, that was different. Now the way they have it now, through Bleacher Sports, Dave just didn't fit in that this time around. He just doesn't fit in. And I could tell, the way the styles that Devin was pulling, it was like, okay. And, with that Michael Todd match kind of bothered me because it seemed like both guys really didn't want to. They're so close and friends that to see them pull, it was weird to see, You always got to have, I always thought to make a match golden, one of them has to be a villain, okay? So Devin has taken over that villain role where before it was Travis Bajan. He was the villain of the Wall, and everybody wanted to tune in to see who could take him down, right? Devin's taking over that, and Michael Todd, depending on who he's pulling, he could be the good guy, he could be the villain. So when you have him against Chafee, nobody hates Chafee. Everybody loves Chafee. So you put him and Michael Todd, and it just didn't seem right. So I thought, Dave Chafee was a better fit in the PAL where he's doing the top 8, which he has a real steep head of him with Levon coming up. So,
well, let's chat. First of all, I'm not getting anything in the comments section on the side here. They're not populating over from Facebook. So if we don't get to your comments, don't take it personally. Sometimes we're just not seeing them.
Right.
And all I've got here is messages, the original messages from Robin Chandler, who she went on to say that she would replace any of the girls' matches against Michelle Dugan. So there you go for that one.
There you go.
Well, let's talk about that Chafee match. Did you happen to see the photo that I posted of myself with Levon? And look at how different he looks in just over a year.
Yeah, it was almost like when you see Prudnick, and it's like going, you kind of sit there and go, Prudnick, you weren't like that in 2018, and now all of a sudden he's blown up like a tick. Like, what's going on over here? And we could sit there and debate all, on and on, because I forgot who was talking about this. Was it you and Gobby were talking about that, or somebody, where Levon kind of came in when, Pushcart, passed away, rest in peace. So Plimpoff was, sick, so he wasn't at his best, and Levon just happened to be there, be the man right now. And he crushed everybody last year in the top 8. Now you bring in Chafee, a legit challenger. Depending on how Chafee pulls him, he can cause him some issues,
See, Levon, the one thing that I noticed with him is his wrist is probably the weakest link, but how weak is the weakest link now? Like, it used to be susceptible. It's interesting if Levon's going to go right into a match and pull Dave where he's strong, or is he going to be more? I think he's definitely the more technical of the two. Levon is. I think Dave would have done well to change up his style, at least for a little bit of it. But I don't know. Who's your pick to win?
Let's see here. Who I want to win and who I think might win might be two different answers. But if Dave pulls the way he pulled in the little wild card round to get into this top 8, Dave's not going to win. I mean, it just seems like styles make matches. And I'm listening to John Brzezinski and Neil Pickup on the show the other day, and Brzezinski said, hey, if I'm Dave, I grab him a little lower around the wrist. If that's his weakest part, you grab him around the wrist and pull him towards you and expose him, because every puller, as we all know, has a weak point, but it's up to your opponent to figure out what that weak point is. So I wouldn't try to grip up hand by hand. His hand is enormous. You grab around his wrist and take advantage of that, and then kind of just, do what Dave does, kind of a dragon tupper like this. If you can do that where your hand's on top, then you might have a chance. And if push comes to shove, then drive that shoulder down. Yeah. That'd be my advice to him.
I agree. And we got a lot of viewers. Like Neil Pickup just sent me a message, and I'll read some of these out. He said, absolutely, Ryan Espey. Look, guys, with all due respect, 90% of arm wrestlers, if the criteria was just the ability, they wouldn't be getting the call either. Only the top 10% of pullers on the planet will. Goes on to say the aspiration long-term is to have an enormous amount of more events, which in turn equates to more opportunities. But right now the goal is to promote the sport, get eyeballs, get wider audience interest, and it furthers the sport. And then,
I hear what he's saying. Yeah. I mean, I get what he's saying. But when I was talking to this puller last week about this, it was like going, dude, if you want to get, notoriety, known for your hard work, then Wall's not it. You go to, like I said, go to Zlotty, go to, IFA Worlds, WAF Worlds, go to there.
I'll tell you what, if you go and win a WAF Worlds or you go to Zlotty and win, you're going to get noticed. You're going to get noticed, especially as a North American. And Neil added, Todd, Zill, and Devin are nevertheless arguably amongst the very best arm wrestlers on the planet. Wall haven't missed many, if any, of the athletes who can make that claim. If so, who? That's a good point.
You know what I like to see? I like to see WAL versus PAL.
We're kind of getting that.
Yeah,
we're kind of getting that a little bit. So if Levon just destroys Dave, then maybe some of that WAL versus PAL goes away a little bit. But
probably. But then you got to think about it. Yeah, he just destroys Dave, but what can you do against the Michael Todd? And, we got a taste of that last year where Devin Larrett pulled Dennis, and that was just like no match. But it was left-handed.
Yeah.
Had it been right-handed, might be a different story, but Devin was coming off a match versus Michael Todd, wasn't he?
I mean, if it was the Devin that showed up and pulled Wagner, who knows? Maybe that match would have looked a little different, because Devin looked enormous, man. Like he in the match with Wagner, he looked big and scary strong.
Right.
And Michael Todd presents a problem that Levon probably has not faced yet.
Yeah.
So rule sets will make a small difference in that match if it ever were to happen. But yeah, that's kind of the dream match, isn't it?
It all depends on, as far as Michael Todd, it depends on what he comes in as, because when he pulled, he said to pull Trubin, he has to be an athlete, like 265 maybe. To pull somebody like Dennis, you have to be probably 280 maybe. And, it all depends on what you come in at. Like look at Devin. Devin's like, okay, I'm going to be as big as I can, but does that benefit you or not,
Yeah.
Because, you're pulling one athlete, I got to be as big as I can, but does that benefit you pulling like a Dennis where I'm going to be as big as I can, but that's just not – it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for, like, for example, Todd Hutchins to come in at 250. Doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah. It depends if it translates directly to what he's doing on the arm wrestling table.
Right.
And, yeah, so, I mean, it's tough to say. It's tough to say. I think that if Levon gets by Dave, Michael gets by Devin, then that's the match you want to see. And at the end of it, I think if Michael comes in and beats Levon, he can kind of drop the mic and walk away. Like he's kind of done everything that he needs to do at that point.
Yeah, I've had discussions with him on the phone about that. I said, Mike, look, man, you've done everything. I mean, he has the ring to prove it, where his wife made him a custom-made ring, and he's been a champ at every federation he's been in. I mean, aside from WAF, you know? So it's like, dude, you've done it all. Now, if you wanted to sit there and do something no one's ever done, and that's be the man in every single organization, WAF, IFA included, then do it. But his thought, talking to him, was like, if he does that, he had to pull the Masters, because if he pulls open and pull one of those big guys over there, he said that could be a potential money match. So why pull that for free where he can make money off that, which I agree. So for him to do all that, he would have to pull Masters, which I think he'd destroy everybody in Masters. That's just my opinion.
Well, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, man, especially now with the two world championships being split,
right?
It looks like IFA is going to be much larger than WAF this year, but there will still be some people missing.
Right.
And we went through this before. And one of them will rise, one of them will fall, and yeah, we'll be left. But it's almost a different sport. Tournament arm wrestling versus supermatch arm wrestling is almost a completely different sport.
You have to approach it differently. Like, if I don't know about you, but if I'm in the supermatch, then I can sit there and show everybody what, or my opponent anyway, what I have in the tool shed. You know, it's just one person. If I try this, well, crap, that didn't work. Now I'm going to try my plan B or even plan C. We're in a tournament. You get 12, 13 guys. I don't have time to get caught into a long hook match number one. That doesn't benefit me, you know?
So Jonathan Thompson says, Chocolate Thunder versus Uncle John, book it.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that too. That's
I like that.
Yeah. Have you? I know the answer to this, but you guys haven't pulled before, have you?
No.
John's been primarily playing in Canada, but he is, I believe, dual citizenship. So it's somebody that could go down there and arm wrestle, I think.
Yeah, it'll be Uncle John show versus Arm Talk. I love that. I love that. You know?
Yeah, maybe I can come be the special guest referee.
How much does he weigh? Do you know?
John, he used to pull supers, but I think he's on his way down to 200 pounds ish, 220 ish.
I'm at 225 right now, so
yeah, you guys wouldn't be too far apart right now, I don't think. And that'd be a fun match. John, I think, is primarily a left-handed arm wrestler.
Right.
How do you feel about left hand?
Well, here's a funny story. I'm a dominant right-handed puller, but my left is bipolar, meaning that one weekend it's feeling great, next weekend is, you know. But when I went to Unified Nationals in 2017 up in Lake Tahoe, Nevada, I was confident in my right, went 2 and out. Went to the left side and took third in the Masters Nationals 100 kilo class. So go figure.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually dominant right-handed as well. But my left arm.
You do so good left. I mean, I think Mike Gould said this once upon a time too.
Yeah, it's strange because of all the great left-handed arm wrestlers, the only one I know for sure that's left-handed is Travis.
Yeah.
And it's just something like the first tournament I ever entered, I didn't even enter the left arm. It was at a tiny bar in my hometown, and it was $10 to enter, and I got a bar T-shirt worth about $3.
I don't pull his left as much because when you train for the Arnold, it's a right-only tournament. So of course, all my hard work of training went to the right side. Now, granted, I still train left, but just not as much. So my left got some catching up to do. But no, that'd be an awesome match to have.
So what are you doing to train?
Well, right now
you train at home, right?
Yeah, I'm at home. I got hook up in the gym, so I got a pulley system. I just put my table to the pulley system, and then I know a lot of people do the have the Mazarenko, handles and whatnot. I used to go for the arm sport version, so I got the cone puller, cone grips, the wrist balls. I do a lot of that kind of stuff. Pronation, supination. When my guys come to train to my house on Thursdays, we got a power band, what we call the equalizer. And for me, since I'm more dominant right than all the rest of the guys, I put the band around their shoulder, so the loops come here. I put my hand through the loop, grab my opponent. So when I pull, I'm also pulling on the band too. So they're going this way, I'm coming that way, and it makes it harder for me. So it kind of levels the playing field a little bit. That way, I'm not just whacking everybody, because then no one's getting anything out of that. So.
Yeah, the guys do that with me too, except they will put it around my wrist and someone will actually be pulling on it like a tug of war, and preventing me from pinning my opponent.
Do they give you slack as your hand goes this way? They give you slack, but as soon as you come that way, then they actually pull on it?
Yep.
All right.
So they'll let me get over a little ways, and then they'll force me all the way back.
Right.
And that's also one of the reasons why I only train on the table every 2 weeks.
Right.
Because I need the 2 weeks to recover. But otherwise, I'm out in the gym all the time.
Right.
Like I've got my gym at home that I train with, and it's fully equipped. It's got all the handles. I use the Ezreal handles, which are very similar to the Mazarenko, some of them. And I also have the Arm Assassins version coming in the mail. Gobby mailed it out to me, but maybe I should not open it for a few weeks with risk of spreading coronavirus with whatever's in the box. Maybe the same thing with the Krazie's pulley that's coming. We'll see. Denise Waddles, I'm going back to the Facebook page and trying to catch some of these comments.
Right.
So Denise Waddles said Trent Meyer was left-handed. Okay, I did know that. And Eric Wolfell is left-handed, and I think I knew that too. Jonathan Thompson says he's 255 now, heading to 220.
Nice.
So that class at the Nationals is going to be amazing. Billy Berg says, would still love to see you and Devin go at it with the left. Yeah, you never know. We'll see. Be a fun match. I mean, if Devin needs a dance partner at some point in the future, I'm sure WL is the place where it would happen, if it were to happen. Devin is not interested, and to be honest, I'm not really interested right now either. I'd rather test the water somewhere else as far as picking opponents.
So we all know in our sport of arm wrestling, there's always like a flavor of the year. Like the year Truman beat Michael Todd, and it was like, wow, he's the next best thing. And then you got Levon, who's like the current next best thing. He's the talk of the town. And the one person that might be the talk of the town is that Schoolboy.
Yeah, that kid. Holy man.
Yeah, he's going to be the next talk of the town. And that guy, and here's the one thing that really even frustrated me more about the Arnold, that once I canceled everything, then all of a sudden I got a message from Joseph Drellick saying, hey, some of us are going to go to Columbus anyway. And Devin said he'll be down there. Devin shoots a video saying, hey, guys, you're still going to the Arnold? I'll be there. We'll have a big party. So then I canceled everything. And because on the East Coast, I didn't get the message till later on because I live out west, and I want to put my head through a wall. I was like, well, shit, I could at least went there, had a good old time, got some, pick some brains for a little bit, and then to find out Todd Hutchins made the trip up there too. And I was really irritated.
Yeah, I bet. I think that was a bit of a surprise to a lot of people that the huge practice went on. But I mean, what can you do? I mean, the people that canceled, and you can't even be sure that the big practice is going to go on. I mean, at this point, they're even talking about closing down bars and restaurants. Right. So,
well, like I said, this is why I told people, hey, just get a garage or whatever, and have a bunch of people come over. That way, you can, grip up with different hands, and go from there.
As long as they haven't traveled in the last 14 days. And they all wash their hands.
True. Well, I got some disinfectant for my tables and stuff. So when the guys come over, I spray everything down just in case, so we're good.
I've got a bucket of rice that I use. So you ever used a rice bucket?
I want to, but I'm still trying to find research on that. I mean, are you just doing like a clock?
I'm doing like an opening and closing of my hand inside the bucket of rice. I've had that same bucket of rice for about 15 years. There's so much human DNA mixed in with that rice that there's no disinfecting that. I'm probably just going to leave it as is. But the second I've done that, I'm coming in the house every time and washing my hands because it's got the it's got so much stuff from so many different people in there that it's a little gross.
Yeah, I didn't know how you use that bucket of rice. I didn't know if are you like spinning your wrist around, or you say you just open and close it, right?
Yeah, it's a finisher. So I'm using it at the end of my hand and wrist stuff. And I'm just my hand is, where can I find on the camera? I'm just in the rice, squeezing and opening.
Gotcha.
And some guys have upgraded that and they're using steel shot. Which that's interesting. Steel shot would be pretty challenging, I think. Yeah.
I would love to use one of those plate loaders and try to get that Richard Lepke's like hand strength,
Yeah. I got a couple of weird things out in the garage, and I've got a lot of stuff that I don't use anymore. But there's piles of arm wrestling equipment out there, and I've got every Israel arm wrestling handle made, and some of the Mazarenko stuff, and a whole bunch of other stuff on the way.
I got a question. Do you have the same problem I do, maybe not, where you have so much equipment in regards to arm wrestling that there's times you kind of go, damn, I don't even use this anymore?
Absolutely. I got tons of that stuff. And I've sold some of it. I've given some of it away. Like if I haven't used something in 2 years and I can't justify the value,
right,
I'm probably going to get rid of it.
Right.
Whether it's giving it away as part of a draw, donating it to a tournament. And it just becomes too much because everybody's coming up with something, and I quite often get sent stuff by people just to try it out and give their opinion. Some of it's really good. Some of it, maybe not so much.
Right.
There is a limit to the size of handle that I will use, so I won't use the gigantic handles on anything.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't, for me, everyone's different, so it depends on what benefits you. So you got all the Country Crush, and I even still got an old school, like a gully grip I use, revolving hand. I still have that. I don't use it as much anymore because now the newest thing I use now, which I love now, is the those cone pullers and that kind of thing, because I can use it this way. I can flip it over and use it that way, and I like it for what I do, for what my move is, and so I kind of focus more on that. The downfall is that not all the other handles I have, they just sit there in my drawer. So it's kind of like, well, what do you do?
Yeah, I still have my original Country Crush, and I like it. I still use it, so it's a good handle. One of the guys that's part of our club says, "Yeah, I saw the bucket. I couldn't bring myself to stick my hand in it." Yeah. Yeah, it's been around too long. Maybe I should change it out, disinfect. Just to give you an idea of how old that is, I'm using a Twin Lab bucket. You remember Twin Lab?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's wow, that's old school right there.
Yeah, so the bucket the rice is in is an old Twin Lab protein powder bucket. So nice. It's been a while.
So with all this Corona thing going on, assuming the Red Deer tournament's still going to happen, correct? Maybe.
Presumptively, yeah. I mean, they haven't talked about canceling anything that far out, and Jeff Frank is staying the course. He's confident. I mean, if it gets to be July, and we're still going through some of this stuff, then he won't have any choice. But I would think it's going to get fixed and cleared up before then. That's the hope anyway, right? We should be able to flatten the curve, as they say, within a month or two.
So I think that's probably one of the biggest arm wrestling tournaments of the year in North America, in my opinion.
That might be the biggest
one. It's amazing.
It might be the biggest one of the decade. Like it's when has there ever been a gathering like that? And now with Alex Kurdecha confirmed to be coming, like it's we're starting to get international people coming over, and yeah, it's crazy, that card.
Let me ask you a question. Whatever happened to the Mike Gould Classic?
Mike Gould ran that tournament. It was the biggest cash tournament in Canada for, I believe it was 10 years or so it ran. And the last time he had it was when it was a UAL event. Yeah. And then Mike just got, you can do something for so long and then you get tired and someone picks up the torch or they don't. And he put a lot of effort into that tournament and for a lot of years. And I think he just got kind of tired of doing it, and it went away. Someone else needs to pick up the torch, and there needs to be a little bit of succession planning with these things. But it didn't happen, and maybe we'll see a return of it at some point. But the Mike Gould Classic was an awesome tournament. The last time it was there was UAL, and it was the tournament where there was this. I had Sylvain in the finals, both arms. Matt Mask had the super match with John Berzink. It was good.
That was back when everybody was pulling for belts. I remember RBJ pulled Alan Ford.
Yes, yeah.
And I think the same day it was Mike Gould and Richard Blecky's pulled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say, was that the same one where Sam Harris pulled Crazy George?
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I mean, man, the first 10 years I arm wrestled, I could tell you every single person I arm wrestled, and I could tell you how it went. Now that it's 20 plus years in the sport, I'm starting to forget these things, and I don't forget the arm wrestling knowledge, but the specific matches throughout the years are starting to get a little foggy.
Right. Well, and and just to give you like a my opinion with the heads up with the IFA. So I'm sure you're aware here in the States we got 4 qualifiers, and now would be a good time to go because I don't foresee this happening next year. As far as, hey, you come to this event, all you gotta do is participate and you're in. I don't think that's going to happen next year. Also, from a national standpoint, like Unified Nationals for the U.S., there's no date set yet. There's no venue. There's no town. Nothing is set yet. And I know a lot of people who are underneath the WAF umbrella are getting kind of disgruntled. So that's the kind of issues we're having right now.
Well, they have a bit of a mess going on over there because Europeans got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? I mean, IFA will go ahead as long as everything's cleared up by then. And it could be the biggest arm wrestling tournament ever because nobody will have had to qualify. They can just show up.
Yeah, pretty much.
It could be huge.
And anybody who was confirmed to go into the Arnold's got their ticket punched to go to Worlds, also IFA Worlds also.
Yeah. And did we talk about this already? You mentioned there was a change and a tournament became a qualifier now.
Yeah, the USAA International Pro-Am, which used to be the USAA National, is now going to be a qualifier for the IFA. So again, you just show up and you're in. The next qualifier was going to be in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
And with all this going on, I think it might get pushed back. And then the last one was going to be June. Yeah, that was April 25th in Louisville. The last one was going to be June 27th in Atlantic City, New Jersey. So that's the calendar for the IFA right now as we speak.
Okay. Well, buddy, we're on here 50 minutes. You want to wrap her up? It's just
let's
impromptu show that we just decided we're going to do this morning.
I enjoy myself. I like that these all of a sudden these impromptu. I wish we had more people watching. They can comment, but it is what it is.
Hopefully, we'll get the little bit of kinks worked out of this, so we can, if there's some that go on in the future, we can make sure all the comments are coming through and people can see them. Might have to go back to doing a YouTube live, but I mean that's okay too.
Yeah.
And you know what? If I'm feeling bored over the next few days, I mean, maybe you'll see me pop up here with random people on different days too. Maybe we can do that.
Don't forget tomorrow. Are you in the Eastern time zone?
Central.
Central. So
it's 10 after 12 here right now.
Okay, so you're about 2:00 tomorrow, your time. So I'll have the beautiful Marlon Kleinsmith on the show tomorrow on Arm Talks. We can sit there, we can talk shop. So be sure to tune in.
That will be a good one. And don't forget to catch CROSSFIRE at 9 a.m. Central on Saturday with Herman coming on the show.
Stevens?
Yep.
Should be fun. A little reunited with him and Gobby, huh?
A little bit of reuniting. I won't get the three of them together again anytime soon, but it'll be a small reunion of the Arm Hub show.
Well, I think you're better off having that, because I think if you have Joseph Drellick, I think Gobby may have a few choice words for him. So
I think it might go both ways. Like, I could put my feet up with a bucket of popcorn and just kind of watch it happen, but
and let them take over.
Yeah, and demonetize that video for sure.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, well, thanks for having me on your show, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. It was fun.
All right.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. I can't see who's watching because of whatever's going on, but there we go.
Talk to you guys soon.
See you later.
Take care.